On April 2, 2025, a tragic incident occurred during a high school track meet at Kuykendall Stadium in Frisco, Texas. Austin Metcalf, a 17-year-old student from Memorial High School, was fatally stabbed following an altercation with Karmelo Anthony, a 17-year-old student from Centennial High School. The confrontation reportedly began when Anthony sat in a tent designated for Memorial High School athletes. Metcalf asked him to move, leading to a heated exchange. Witnesses stated that Anthony warned Metcalf not to touch him, and when Metcalf made physical contact, Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his bag and stabbed Metcalf in the chest. Metcalf died at the scene with his twin brother present during the incident. The following are events that followed after, from news coverages to people's reactions.
Well, today we're learning more about the deadly stabbing at a track meet in Frisco, that's near the Dallas area. According to the arrest affidavit, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony identified himself as the suspect when police arrived at Frisco ISD's Karmelo Stadium Wednesday morning. Court documents say Anthony told police with his hands up in the air and said, quote, "I was protecting myself." While walking him off the track, Anthony told police, quote, "He put his hands on me and I told him not to." Anthony also asked if the victim, Austin Metcalf, would be okay. Frisco police officers located a knife in the bleachers and that there were many witnesses in the area. And this morning, more tributes are pouring in for 17-year-old Austin Metcalf.
Nothing's going to change the fact that this mother has lost her child. Going to miss the light that, the two brought out in each other.
Meanwhile, Frisco ISD increased police presence and are providing counselors for students. The track meet has been rescheduled for Monday, and the district will share security plans with families as soon as they learn more. Meanwhile, Asia.
And we begin right away with breaking news. Just minutes ago, WFAA obtained the arrest warrant affidavit in that deadly stabbing at a track meet in Frisco ISD.
Yeah, it reveals where the suspect got the knife and that he told police he killed Austin Metcalf in self-defense. Tiffany Liu has been covering this story since Wednesday morning and joins us in the newsroom with what she's learned.
Yeah, well, Chris and Izzy, I've been working on this since this morning, trying to get this arrest affidavit. Finally, we obtained it from Frisco police. It says 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony identified himself as the suspect when police arrived at Frisco ISD's Kuykendall Stadium on Wednesday morning. Now, the court documents say Anthony told police with his hands up in the air, quote, "I was protecting myself." Now, walking him off the track, Anthony told police he put his hands on me and I told him not to. Anthony also asked if the victim, Austin Metcalf, would be okay. Frisco police say officers located a knife in the bleachers and that there were many, many witnesses. We just got our hands on this arrest affidavit. We're going to have much more on these new developments tonight at 10 and, of course, on WFA.com. But right now, you guys, more tributes are pouring in for 17-year-old Austin Metcalf tonight. And the pizzeria where he worked alongside his family is honoring his memory and stepping in to help.
At Halo Pizzeria in Frisco, it's all about family.
They're just not employees to us. They're very much family.
And when their own are hurting, they grieve together.
Honestly, I've never had to deal with something like this so close to home.
Carrie Ordaz, the restaurant owner, is in disbelief.
He's a missed child.
On Wednesday morning, 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, a student athlete at Memorial High School, was stabbed and killed at a UIL track meet.
You'd give anything to reverse time, change what happened.
Austin was part of the Halo Pizzeria family. Outside of school, track, and football, he worked here part-time with his mom, Megan, and identical twin, Hunter.
I'm gonna miss the light that, the two brought out in each other.
There are so many unanswered questions about why this happened.
It's just so unnecessary. It's the only word that I can think of.
Frisco police say it was an altercation between two students. Meanwhile, Frisco Independent School District increased police presence and are providing counselors for students. The track meet is rescheduled to Monday, and they say they'll share security precautions with families soon. At this time, both the police and the district declined interviews with us today.
Nothing's going to change the fact that this mother has lost her child.
For Carrie, her focus is the Metcalf family.
We absolutely love this family. They have been with us. Literally, all three of them came to interview before we even opened our restaurant.
Austin, Hunter, and Mama Megan supported Carrie's dreams from the start.
She's one of my most favorite people.
To give back to a family she cares for so much, Carrie created a GoFundMe to support Megan and Hunter through funeral and legal expenses, and she plans to do a fundraiser at Halo soon, too.
Calling out to your kid and realizing that they're not there.
She knows their pain is inconsolable. but hopes to carry the burden in other ways.
We just love them so much.
In Frisco, I'm Tiffany Liu.
That family is going to need all the support that that community can muster. If you go on our website, we posted a link to their GoFundMe in Tiffany's story at WFAA.com.
New documents detail what may have happened in the moments leading up to the stabbing death of a Frisco ISD student, Austin Metcalf. It comes as the community continues to really process what all happened. Tonight, our Aaron Jones speaking to a crisis counselor who is now sharing some advice.
The Frisco Centennial High School student charged with stabbing Frisco Memorial student Austin Metcalf has been transferred to the Collin County Jail. Arrest documents state 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony was sitting under Frisco Memorial's pop-up tent at a track meet Wednesday morning. Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move. Then Anthony grabbed his bag, reached inside, and said, quote, "Touch me and see what happens." The documents say a short time later, Metcalf grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony stabbed Austin once in the chest and then ran away. Later telling an officer at the scene, "I'm not alleged, I did it. He put his hands on me, I told him not to." Anthony's bond was set at $1 million. Legal expert Philip Linder weighing in.
If there is no evidence of the young man who died having a deadly weapon or threatening to do serious harm to this kid, then he has no business using a knife. And so there will be no self-defense claim that he could really urge.
Metcalf's father tells us his son's twin, Hunter, witnessed what happened that day and tried to save his brother's life.
I need my son back, but that's not possible. All I can ask for is just pray.
Arrest documents show more than 30 students and coaches are also listed as witnesses to the violent death.
There's a likelihood that there will be post-traumatic stress.
Veronica Seitz, a trained mental health crisis counselor, says anyone in need should be getting counseling to cope with their feelings.
So that they know and see and experience that they are not in this alone. Give them space to talk if they are open to visit. But also pay attention to things if they've lost their appetite, if they're having disruptions to sleep.
Frisco ISD has counselors on hand for any students that need to talk. Today, I spoke with Anthony's legal team. They tell us they will not be commenting on this case at this time. Aaron Jones, CBS News, Texas.
Now to Texas, where a father says he forgives the teen accused of fatally stabbing his son at a high school track meet. Police are now revealing what led to the terrifying moment. Here's ABC's Andrea Fujii.
New details about the killing of Austin Metcalf, the student stabbed at a high school track meet near Dallas. According to the arrest affidavit, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony has confessed to the killing, saying he was trying to protect himself.
He knew how much I loved him, how much I do for him, anything. I do anything for him.
Hunter Metcalf says he held his twin brother Austin as he was dying.
I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest. So.
It happened at the district championship meet in Frisco. Hunter says his brother had asked Karmelo to move his seat because he was sitting under the wrong tent. A witness says Karmelo replied, "Touch me and see what happens." And when Austin grabbed him, Karmelo allegedly pulled a knife.
They asked him to move. And when Austin grabbed his backpack to take it, he stabbed him in the chest and killed him.
He's now charged with first-degree murder.
Just because the kid was mad, my son is not here anymore, and I don't understand it.
Austin is being remembered as an honors student with aspirations to play college football. Despite the shocking loss, Austin's father says he chooses forgiveness over anger.
I forgive the other person because the forgiveness is not for him. The forgiveness is for me. So I can have peace. His life is destroyed. My life is destroyed.
The arrest affidavit says as Karmelo Anthony was being arrested, he asked if Austin was okay. Anthony is being held on $1 million bond.
The tragic stabbing death of a star athlete at a high school track meet is dividing America. 17-year-old track star Austin Metcalf was killed in an altercation in this stadium near Dallas. An athlete from a rival high school, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, is charged with first-degree murder. Now the police chief in Frisco, Texas, is calling for calm and calling for people to stop spreading misinformation about the case. His call to stop the rumors rumors began after someone posted a fake autopsy online claiming that the victim was high on drugs and that the stabbing was not the primary cause of death. The police chief says none of that is true and posted, "Beware of those taking to social media to deliberately spread misinformation, hate, fear, and division." The victim's father, Jeff Metcalf, is also making an appeal.
I've already heard some rumors and some gossip. This was not a race thing, and this is not a political thing. Please do not comment if you do not know what happened. This person made a bad choice, and it affected both his family and my family forever.
The accused killer, who was captured after a police chase, is claiming self-defense. He was actually hailed a hero in 2021 after saving a 6-year-old child from drowning in a hotel pool. Meanwhile, there are dueling fundraisers. A GoFundMe page for the family of the dead teen has raised $287,000 so far. A defense fund for the accused killer has raised $233,000.
An emotional farewell in Frisco. Good evening, everybody. I'm Casey Stiegel. Private funeral services were held today for the teen student athlete who was stabbed to death at a school track meet earlier this month. 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was killed back on April 2nd. A teen student from another school has been charged with his murder. The crime has been thrust into the national spotlight, bringing some controversies along with it. On Monday, the alleged killer will make his first appearance before a judge. Fox 4's Amelia Jones is following all of the developments for us tonight. She joins us live at the courthouse where that hearing will happen. Amelia.
Hi there, Casey. At Monday's hearing, we expect Karmelo Anthony's lawyers to ask for a bond reduction so he can get out of jail. But today in Frisco, the focus was on comforting the friends and family of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. People filed into Hope Fellowship Church in Frisco to say one final goodbye to 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Some people wore football jerseys to the service as Metcalf was a member of the Frisco Memorial High School varsity football team. He was also a member of the track and field team. During a track meet earlier this month, Metcalf was killed after he was stabbed in the chest during a fight and died in his twin brother's arms. The fight was with 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, a student athlete from a different Frisco high school. Arrest documents say the fight was over a seating dispute in the bleachers. Anthony was charged with first-degree murder, and his bond was set at $1 million.
Well, obviously, it's a very tragic case when you have a 17-year-old killed and a 17-year-old boy charged with the murder happening during a school event.
Toby Shook is a criminal defense attorney not involved in this case. A bond hearing is set for Monday where the defense team plans to ask the judge to lower it. Shook explained some of the factors the judge will have to consider.
Obviously, in this case, there is not criminal history, so that's going to weigh in his favor to lowering a bond. The judge will also consider if the defendant's a flight risk. So the defense attorney is going to put on family members that can show he had lived for some years in Frisco, that his family's there, that he's not a flight risk. He has what they call ties to the community.
The prosecution will also have a chance to speak, and they're going up against a new defense attorney for Anthony. Shook told Fox 4 that the family hired Dallas-based criminal defense attorney Mike Howard to represent Anthony.
He's a very experienced criminal lawyer, done lots of trials. He's very good. So that was a good decision, I believe, on the family's part to get an experienced criminal lawyer who's actually tried criminal cases to defend his son.
This case has already captured national attention. Shook believes this will make the case difficult as it moves forward, especially when it comes time for jury selection if the case goes to trial, which Shook believes it will.
It has a danger of poisoning the jury pool so that you'll have more jurors who are exposed and go in with opinions, so they have to be very, very careful during jury selection.
Shook is also a former prosecutor, and he's confident that the DA's office will put the top prosecutor on the case, so he says both sides will be well represented. We reached out to Mike Howard's law firm for a statement on this case, and we're still waiting to hear back.
The 17-year-old accused of fatally stabbing a Texas student athlete during a track meet
allegedly admitted to the crime. Now, he also asked officers if his actions could be considered self-defense. That is according to a newly released arrest report. On Wednesday morning, 17-year-old Austin Metcalf, a junior at Memorial High School in Frisco, Texas, was killed at a track meet. Police said a student from Centennial High School in Frisco, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, stabbed Metcalf in the chest during a fight. Anthony was arrested, now charged with first-degree murder, and is being held in the Collin County Jail on a $1 million bond. Our Fox 4 Dallas team has been covering all of the information here. Alex Boyer has the latest.
In that 7-page arrest warrant affidavit, several witnesses, including Metcalf's twin brother, describe how that deadly encounter went down. It also revealed that the suspect reportedly admitted to a Frisco police officer that he stabbed Metcalf.
My son is gone, and I don't really have words. I've tried to figure out what I was going to say, but he's just going to be so missed.
The pain is still raw for the Metcalf family after 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was killed on Wednesday morning at a UIL District 11-5A track meet in Frisco.
That dude was extremely smart, always in the box. He just came to him real easy, and just him playing with football as well just made him just a great person overall.
Here's what happened according to witnesses and the police report. Metcalf got into an argument with the suspect, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, over a seating dispute in the bleachers. Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move from under the team's tent.
He always was one to step up and be the person that would do the right thing. And he was doing the right thing by saying to this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is because they have personal items there.
Anthony opened his bag and reached inside and said to Metcalf, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf reportedly grabbed Anthony and told him to move.
He knew he wasn't supposed to be there. He was just a tragedy what happened.
That's when Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest once before running away. When Anthony was taken into custody by a Frisco police officer, Anthony reportedly confessed to the crime, saying, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to," adding that, "I was protecting myself," and then asked the police officer, "Is he going to be okay?" Metcalf died in his brother's arms.
I'm not at that point to forgive and forget, but eventually I will. But I pray for his family. I pray that they understand what we're going through as well.
This whole community has really wrapped their arms around us. And if I could say anything to the nation, I would say to make sure that you just hug your babies tight, because you don't know when the last time you get to do it.
In a statement released by the Metcalf family this afternoon, they say their focus is now on laying Austin to rest. Meanwhile, I can tell you that Anthony remains in the Collin County Jail on a $1 million bond. Alex Boyer, Fox 4 News.
Alex, thank you so much. Now, our Fox 4 Dallas team, as I mentioned, has been covering all of this from the get-go. They had a one-on-one conversation with Austin's father.
Well, it started with a call from his football coach, who was not at the track meet, and said, I think Austin has been stabbed. And I said, where at? And he said, Kukendall Stadium. And I said, I'm on my way. So I drove up there, went through a load of police officers, and was able to see my son on the gurney with a huge hole and blood all over him, and they were pumping him. He wasn't breathing, and his eyes were rolled back in his head. So I had to find his brother. They're twins. And so I found Hunter and tried to get him under control as best we could. And then I loaded him up in my car, and we drove to the hospital as quickly as possible. And we waited. And when the doctors came in and said that he didn't make it, it was tough. My son took it extremely hard. Mm-hmm. I'm still in shock, to be honest. I mean, I'm numb. So it really hasn't hit me. And I don't believe any parent should ever have to bury their child. And I pray that, maybe there's changes made as far as security or things like that. And maybe we can learn from this and try to turn a tragedy into something positive to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else's child. I don't want parents to feel like I feel today. So I've already forgiven the person who stabbed him. God's going to take care of everything. God's taking care of my son. I kissed him. When I kissed him goodbye, this for the last time, I told him it's not goodbye, it's see you later. So I just have to trust in God and my faith to pull us through. I don't understand his plan. We're all subject to trial and tribulations. God didn't say life was going to be fair or wasn't going to be hard, but he said he'll always be beside you and never leave your side. So we're going to lean deep into our faith. There's a vigil tonight at our church at 7 o'clock. I will be attending also. The outpouring of students and coaches and friends and family that showed up at the hospital immediately. It was just shows the way my son touched people's lives. He was voted team MVP of the football team this year. He carried a 4.0. He was on National Honor Society. He's ranked in the top 50 of the state in his position. He's having D1 colleges contact him. He had a great life ahead of him. And to be taken away, it's such a tragedy. I mean, I can't even tell you how I feel because I don't know how I feel. I feel numb at the moment. Yeah. I just hope that this doesn't happen to any other parent and their child. But I do hope for justice. I do hope for justice because this is unacceptable.
And the fact that, someone was immediately taken into custody, they know who did this, they are charging him with murder. I mean, how does that make you feel that police immediately got this person?
First of all, I feel sorry for that individual because he's now made a mistake that's going to cost him the rest of his life. The hard part that cost me is I lost my son, and his brother was holding him, trying to hold the blood in, and he passed. My son watched his brother die in his arms.
Can you tell me a little bit more about Austin, about his personality?
Austin was a leader. He led the football team. He was voted team MVP by his players and coaches.
What was his position?
He played linebacker. Him and his brother both play linebacker. He played inside. His brother plays outside. We were so fortunate this past weekend that me, Hunter, and Austin, we grew up hunting together, and we had matter of fact, the ranch we own, the lease was not renewed, so we could never hunt there again. And we went there for the last weekend. And he said, "Dad, I've never shot a pig before. I want to get a pig this weekend." I said, "Okay." Lord and behold, it's a heck of a story, but he shot his first pig this weekend. And we all talked, me, him, and Hunter both, we all talked about these are memories that you take forever. After I'm gone, you can tell your kids about, well, your grandfather and we were hunting and we stalked and it took 2 hours, but we got this. I got my first pig, and he was so excited. And I'm so fortunate to be able to spend that weekend, not knowing it was the last weekend I'll ever spend with him.
And he also was on the track and field team?
Also was, football was his pride and joy. Yeah. He was working on track to increase his speed. Matter of fact, he's already dropped this 40 times. He was telling me about how he's dropped it. He's going to drop it some more. And he was an amazing, dedicated athlete. And by the outpouring of his friends and family that showed up immediately at the hospital, it goes to show how he impacted other people's lives.
And what did that mean to you to know that your son did that?
Well, for me, I was diagnosed with cancer 9 years ago, and I was not supposed to live. And God blessed me because he knew I needed to be a father for these two boys. My two boys is what my life lived. I lived my life for my children. That was my why to keep fighting, and I'm cancer free. So God had a plan for me. So I was able to watch and be blessed so much. But having both my sons are amazing. My other son is just crushed. And I feel for him now, and he'll never be the same. None of us will. Grief, we all go through it, but the thing about grief is you don't get over it. You just learn to live with it. So, I don't have a choice other than to carry on. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure Austin's never forgotten. I'm sure he won't be. He's touched a lot of people's lives. He was a great individual, a leader, an athlete, very smart, 4.0. I couldn't ask for a better son. Two of them. I couldn't ask. They were my whole life. And for it to be taken away so senselessly when this guy was just sitting in the wrong spot and they asked him to move. And he winds up stabbing my son in the heart and killing him. It's unfortunate, but he's gonna have to answer to those consequences. They have no contact with this person ever before. I can tell you what happened. I know firsthand. I wasn't there, but I talked to my son.
Yeah, what is
everything. I know exactly how it all transpired. It was a multi-Frisco High School track meet.
Yep.
Many high schools were there. It started to rain, and they have their own little tent for memorial, and they were sitting there. And someone was behind them mouthing off, and he turned around and said, "Who are you?" And he said, "I'm Mello." He said, "Well, you don't belong here. You don't go to memorial." He had a Centennial tracksuit on. And he said, "You need to leave. This ain't your spot." And some words were discussed. I'm not going to say on camera but he asked him to leave and basically said, "Make me." And then he wound up stabbing him in the heart and killing him. All over someone sitting in the wrong spot at a track meet. Now, I don't blame his parents. I don't blame him. But they all will suffer too. I feel for their family because now their son will probably wind up in prison and learn that he killed someone. And he devastated and took my son that I can never get back. It's unfortunate for everyone involved. And I just hope it doesn't happen to anyone else. This world, there need to be changes, and it starts at home. So I don't know. I'm not judging. I'm just happen to say that try to be kind in this world, and if you can't be kind, find someone who is.
Is there anything else that you want people to know about Austin? You want people to know how he'll be remembered? Is there anything else that you haven't shared?
I mean, it's hard right now. My thoughts are all over the place, to be honest. I mean, there's so many great things about him. I could probably sit here for 3 hours and go on and on and on. But he was a great friend. He was a leader. He was well respected in school by his teammates, by his coaches, by his friends. His girlfriend came up to me and said, "You know what? He talks about you a lot, and he loved you, and he treated me with great respect." And he goes, "You taught him that, He was going to turn out to be a great individual and impact this world with positivity." So he was on the right track. He was doing everything right. I was so proud to have 2 sons, not just him, but 2 sons that do the exact same thing. My other son, Hunter's like, "Dad, I can't go on because Austin always had my back." I said, "I know." And when I kissed his forehead today, as his body was cold, I ran my fingers through his hair. I told him, "It's not goodbye. It's see you later. I'll join you at some point too, son. You just beat me to this place. So you keep an eye on me up there. Put in a good word for me. And we'll meet again."
Your faith is keeping you strong right now.
Yep. It's the only thing that's keeping me together. Otherwise, I'd be in a rubber room right now. So all I can do is pray. I don't understand it, but I have to live through it, and I have to still be here for my other son. So my journey's not done. It just took a really bad detour today that I'll probably never get over. I'll live with it the rest of my life. And I sure as hell don't want any other parent to feel the way that I feel today. Because when I got the call, I was scared, but I was hoping like he's stabbed in the stomach. It's not gonna be that big a deal, surgery, as long as he's okay. When I saw him, I knew it wasn't good. And then when his brother told me, "Dad," I tried to hold the wound to the blood, but there was too much. And he died in my arms. It's tragic. I don't know what else to really say.
How can the community best help you right now? Help you and your family right now? Is it thoughts and prayers? Is there a GoFundMe? How can they help you?
I hadn't even thought about that. That's a good idea. GoFundMe. I'll probably have someone set that up, and prayers. I believe I'm heavy in faith, and we just pray that this doesn't happen again to someone else. Unfortunately, I get to be the example, but we have to try to turn negatives into positives. And he was a great kid, and he impacted a lot of lives. I'll never forget him, and neither will a lot of other people. So, community-wise, talk to your kids, teach your kids. It all starts at home. I know this world has changed. I'm old school, and it's a different world. It's unfortunate, but we all have to evolve. And if we all don't come together, black, white, yellow, brown, I don't care. It's all about human beings. We gotta care about each other. We gotta be kind to each other. You need to show compassion, show empathy, not anger, not rage. Teach your kids the right from wrong. And pray to God this doesn't happen to yours.
A teenager accused of stabbing another student athlete at a track meet told officers as he was being taken into custody that he did it in self-defense.
Austin Metcalf was killed this week at that Frisco track meet. New documents detail what happened before and after 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony allegedly pulled a knife from his backpack and stabbed him. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joining us now live with the latest. Alex.
Hey guys, and in that 7-page arrest warrant affidavit, several witnesses, including Metcalf's twin brother, describe how that deadly encounter went down. The suspect then reportedly admitted to a Frisco police officer who detained him that he had stabbed Metcalf.
My son is gone, and I don't really have words. I've tried to figure out what I was going to say, but he's just going to be so missed.
The pain is still raw for the Metcalf family after 17-year-old Austin Metcalf was killed on Wednesday morning at a UIL District 11-5A track meet in Frisco.
That dude was extremely smart, always in the box. He just came to him real easy, and just him playing with football as well just made him just a great person overall.
Here's what happened according to witnesses and the police report. Metcalf got into an argument with the suspect, 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, over a seating dispute in the bleachers. Metcalf told Anthony he needed to move from under the team's tent.
He always was one to step up and be the person that would do the right thing. And he was doing the right thing by saying to this gentleman that you're not supposed to be in this tent. This is because they have personal items there.
Anthony opened his bag and reached inside and said to Metcalf, "Touch me and see what happens." Metcalf reportedly grabbed Anthony and told him to move.
He knew he wasn't supposed to be there. He was just a tragedy what happened.
That's when Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Metcalf in the chest once before running away. When Anthony was taken into custody by a Frisco police officer, Anthony reportedly confessed to the crime, saying, "He put his hands on me. I told him not to," adding that, "I was protecting myself," and then asked the police officer, "Is he going to be okay?" Metcalf died in his brother's arms.
I'm not at that point to forgive and forget, but eventually I will. But I pray for his family. I pray that they understand what we're going through as well.
This whole community has really wrapped their arms around us. And if I could say anything to the nation, I would say to make sure that you just hug your babies tight, because you don't know when the last time you get to do it.
And in a statement released by the Metcalf family this afternoon, they say their focus is now on laying Austin to rest. Meanwhile, I can tell you that Anthony remains in the Collin County Jail with a $1 million bond. Back to you.
All right, Alex Boyer in Dallas tonight. Alex, thank you.
7:43 is the time, and welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Jeanne Francine. Turning to a developing story this Friday, as thousands of people have donated to an online fund supporting a family whose son was stabbed to death at a Frisco ISD track meet. It's one of the ways people are coping with the death of Austin Metcalf. Right now, we want to check in with Fox 4's Tisia Muzinga, joining us live this morning with a message from the family. Good morning to you. Alarming news. We continue to get updates this morning.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Good morning. Yeah, we are hoping to hear more information and get more information about what led up to the fatal stabbing of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf from court documents later this morning. But the family of Austin Metcalf, the 17-year-old, they have been just sharing stories about what kind of a man he was and details about the final moments while he was here. But police are saying that 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony, who attends Centennial High School, stabbed Metcalf in the chest after a fight at Kirkendall Stadium Wednesday morning. The family says they believe the fight started over a seating issue in the stands at a track meet. Hunter Metcalf, the victim's twin brother, told Fox News he did everything he could to save his brother's life.
Yeah, I pushed my hand on there, trying to make it stop, and I grabbed his head and I looked in his eyes. I just saw his soul leave, and it took my soul too.
I'm so sorry.
Well, police are investigating how a knife got into the stadium. Anthony is in the Collin County Jail and is charged with murder, and his bond is set at $1 million. Frisco ISD, however, is rescheduling that track meet where all that happened. They're planning to have it next Monday at a different school, Little Elm High School. Back to you.
Thecia Muzinga with Fox 4 Dallas, thank you so much for that detailed breakdown. A lot of eyes on this story. Tragic news we continue to follow. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Jeanne Francine. Let's take our final 2-minute commercial break of the hour. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Now for what's trending in true crime. Authorities are warning of misinformation deliberately being spread online in the case of the stabbing death of a high school student who was killed at a track meet. 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony is currently charged with first-degree murder in the death of Austin Metcalf. Now, he's being held on $1 million bond, and police say that Anthony told them that he did it and asked officers if it could be considered self-defense. So now police are warning that there's incorrect and possibly very damaging information being spread online about the incident. So we're asking, what kind of effect can fake information have on a case? Let's talk about it. Let's bring back in attorneys Mario Gallucci and Randolph Rice. Mario, to you first, please. Your thoughts.
So, I've been doing this over 3 decades, and social media has now become one of the #1 impediments to picking a jury. People hear things on social media, they go running with it, and it's the job of the judge now during jury selection to ensure that the people that are reading it or following it or doing whatever they're doing on social media are not chosen to be on your jury. The evidence is coming from the chair that's in the courtroom, not from Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
Right. You're so right, Mario. And sometimes, and I often encounter this with my job, because when people meet me or friends and loved ones who know me, they want to talk about cases and they'll say, oh, I saw this. And I'll say, that's not true. Where did you see that? Oh, I saw it on TikTok. Some creator said it. Well, they made it up. That's not true. I can tell you, you can take what I'm saying to the bank. And it just shows you how powerful now, to your point, Mario, social is. Randolph, your thoughts on this, please weigh in if you would.
Yeah, I think Mario's exactly correct. This is a great example of why the Karen Reed case is taking 2+ weeks to pick a jury, because it is so much coverage, there's so much information, there's so many jurors that have heard about it, versus the case that we're involved with, which is the Rachel Morton case, which had very little information about the case, and they were able to pick a jury in a day and a half. So that information out there taints that jury pool and can help, or it can actually hinder the process when the case goes to trial.
You're so right. Randolph, I got to say, you are my hero for bringing that up about the Karen Reed case. That is the first thing I thought about when I read this story. And I kept thinking, how I wish those police and prosecutors, and maybe they wish so too, I don't know. I wish they would have come out, issued some official statements about the disinformation, because in her case, there has been a deliberate disinformation campaign out there to infect the public with wrong information. And so, too late now, that information's out there. I see it every day.
We
We want to share some new details tonight about that Frisco teen stabbing death case. So the suspect here, Karmelo Anthony, has a new criminal defense attorney tonight. His name is Mike Howard, and he tells us the Anthony family hired him to take over representation. I'm quoting here. He says this is an incredibly sad situation for both families. Karmelo and his family asked that this case be allowed to go through our court system and receive a full and fair hearing so that justice may be done for everyone. Howard also adds the attorneys that CBS News Texas just spoke with yesterday have no experience with murder cases. It's unclear if they're going to stay on this Anthony case in any capacity alongside Howard.
This morning, we are in about 4 hours, a Frisco teen accused in the stabbing death of another student during a high school track meet due in court.
Now, this case is drawing national attention over the past 2 weeks, and now 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony has a new attorney as he gets ready to face a judge.
Now, Chris Oddicke joins us live at the site of this morning's hearing in McKinney. And Chris, this could be a very big day.
Yes, Mark, and we are just a few hours away from seeing Karmelo Anthony before a judge. A new development over the weekend, though, when he enters the courtroom, he will do so with a new attorney representing him. The Next Generation Action Network, the group helping fundraise for Anthony, announced that attorney Mike Howard will take over as lead counsel, replacing attorneys Billy Clark and Kim Cole. Anthony is in jail, charged with the murder of Austin Metcalf after police say the two 17-year-olds had an altercation in the stands during a high school track meet in Frisco, and that Anthony stabbed Metcalf. His defense team will argue self-defense, and for today's hearing, we anticipate they will ask the judge to lower his $1 million bond in hopes of getting him out of jail while his case plays out in court. We spoke to Toby Shook, an attorney not involved with this case, and he explained what the judge has to consider with the bond amount.
A bond can't be so high that it's viewed as oppressive, but they also have to consider the crime itself, the safety of the community, and also what's a reasonable bond and flight risk.
And an online fundraiser for Anthony's defense has raised more than $350,000 through the fundraiser website GiveSendGo. However, all the online fundraisers on GoFundMe have been disabled. Any of the fundraisers related to this case. Kara, back to you.
All right, interesting. Thank you for the update, Chris. Friends and family did say goodbye to Austin Metcalf over the weekend. If you do want to support his family, we have a link to donate to a scholarship in honor of Austin at WFAA.com.
For Karmelo Anthony will be facing off with Collin County prosecutors. That's going to happen Monday morning in a courtroom. They hope to convince a judge that the 17-year-old who was accused of fatally stabbing another student during a track meet last week is entitled to a reduction of his current $1 million bond. Anthony's lawyers also visited the track where the stabbing happened today, and they did that, they tell us, to help prepare for the hearing, and only our J.D. Miles was there with them.
Attorneys Kim T. Cole and Billy Clark walked through Kirkendall Stadium Thursday gathering evidence and surveying what last Wednesday morning was a Frisco police crime scene. An altercation between two high school track athletes led to a stabbing that resulted in one dead and another charged with murder.
We just really want to get in our clients' shoes and see what the environment was like. I know it's a beautiful day today. It wasn't anything like it was on April 2nd, but we want to see what it was, what he was going through, just kind of get an idea of, what he saw, what it looked like.
Anthony's attorneys urge the public to avoid rushing to judgment and assuming their client is guilty.
We're still praying for the family, and we also want to ensure that justice is served equally. So that's what we're hoping for.
Anthony claims he stabbed Austin Metcalf in self-defense. His attorneys say their first priority is getting the 17-year-old, who's been in the Collin County Jail for more than a week, released on bond.
Our next big step is Monday, but he's doing as best as he can under the circumstances.
Part of what they hope will convince the judge to lower the bond is their client's young age and his lack of any previous criminal history. Meanwhile, the church which hosted a vigil for Austin Metcalf has had to curtail student activities because of online security threats. Both the victims and the suspects' families also report receiving online harassment and threats. In one case, a fake 911 call sent police to their home. In a statement to CBS News Texas, Frisco's police chief tells us online threats of violence towards any person, business, school, or church are criminal offenses and will be investigated. Making false statements to cause alarm or emergency response is criminal and will also be investigated. Those responsible could face a third-degree felony and punishment of up to 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. It's reprehensible people who are committing such acts surrounding this tragedy. We are coordinating with Hope Fellowship related to the security of the upcoming service for Austin Metcalf. In Frisco, J.D. Miles, CBS News, Texas.
All right, so Anthony was being held on $1 million bond, which was crazy. Today, they reduced it to $250,000, which is, still sizable, but he wound up getting out. All right, so Mark, first of all, the idea of race, I mean, you lived it with Zimmerman in a big way. There's so many people who believe that that's why Zimmerman wound up beating that case. But what do you see here? What are your questions? What will matter?
Oh, no, it's definitely a consideration. It always is, whether it's a sort of obvious what we're doing or the implicit one, because we all carry these implicit biases with us that perceive or impact how we perceive an event. Now, what's really it's going to come down to, and I disagree with the guy who said this is not a self-defense case yesterday, I think he said it. This is definitely a self-defense case because it always is one until you look at the facts of the case and compare the two. You have to compare who was the initial aggressor. Was it an aggressive act for him to go up and say, get away from the tent? Did he do more than that? My understanding was maybe he touched him and put hands on him. Granted, that makes the decedent in this case maybe the initial aggressor. But you really still then have to look at whether or not Karmelo Anthony responded with appropriate force, he used a deadly weapon, and whether or not he was in imminent fear of great bodily injury. That's the standard in Texas and most every state to determine whether or not his actions, the way he perceived him, the way Karmelo Anthony perceived him when he took out that knife and stabbed him. The good part is if the decedent was the aggressor initially. The bad part for Karmelo, if in fact it's true that he sort of said, touch me and you'll see, because that's that aggression, that's that predisposition towards violence that doesn't have a place in a true self-defense case.
What's the most important question for you in this, Mark? And then I want the same from you, Professor, if you have one. Go ahead, Mark.
Sure. Who truly was the initial aggressor? How did this unfold such that if in fact he had a reason to believe great bodily injury was imminent, was it reasonable? Was he pushed? Was he shoved? Was he hit? Because don't forget, it's of the moment, but you are allowed to respond to great deadly force with your own great deadly force, or at least your perception of great deadly force. So it's really going to be fact-based. I do think that race, it's going to be played out on social media. It also is going to be played out in a courtroom if you ever get there, because in today's day and age, I would argue that someone like Karmelo Anthony now has a heightened concern over the past few years and the way we've sort of degraded some of the progress we may have thought we made over the past decade, as far as how we're treating young black males in the system, such that maybe he would have felt more preyed upon than he otherwise would. Interesting, you're right. We're going to be talking about this for a long time.
Professor, what do you got?
Hello? Oh, I'm
Professor?
sorry.
Yeah, Professor.
This is all about who the jury is. This will all be determined by the jury. If the racial factors were reversed, if a white man had killed an unarmed black man, everybody would be on the reverse side of this. We live in a society where everything is judged by race. You know, the Bible says to judges and prosecutors, don't recognize people, just do abstract justice. We're way, way, way beyond that. If the racial elements were reversed there, virtually all the people who are calling for him to be acquitted would be calling for him to be convicted, and vice versa. Let's not kid ourselves. We live in a race-conscious society, and jury selection, which, of course, your other guest is so brilliant at and did so well in the Zimmerman case, is determine the outcome of this case, without a doubt.
For me, it's as simple as, how do they feel about this proposition? Bringing a knife to a fist fight. Right. Mark O'Mara, we'll see what happens. Alan Dershowitz, thank you very much. Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
What's up, fam? This your boy Cut to the Chase TV. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to share this video. I got some news for you Negroes today. Karmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf to death at a track meet, and the moment the news hit the internet, everybody became divided and two groups of people has formed. On one hand, you got people saying it's self-defense. Austin Metcalf grabbed Karmelo Anthony. Karmelo Anthony was in fear of his life, so he had the right to get a motherfucker up off him. Then on the opposite hand, you got people calling Karmelo Anthony a cold-blooded killer. He deserved to have the needle in his arm. How come he didn't listen to Austin Metcalf? If he would have removed himself from the tent like Austin told him to, none of this would have happened. I'm gonna say this about the whole situation. I think everybody's acting overly emotional, and I think everybody's racial bias is causing their views to be extreme. I explain what I'm saying. Everybody's talking about race. Everybody pointing the finger at each other saying, you're racist, no, you're racist. Why are we speaking about race when none of the kids are racist? I looked at Karmelo Anthony background, tons of white friends. He go to an all-white school. He come from a two-parent household. His family got a lot of money. It seemed like he was brought up the right way. And I looked at Austin Metcalf background. Sports, tons of black friends. Everything he posts on Twitter, he's talking to black kids. He reposting black athletes. He calling black kids his brother. So it don't seem like he was racist neither. But you got the adults in this whole situation talking about race. Karmelo Anthony parents ain't talking about race, and Austin Metcalf parents ain't talking about race. So how about we leave that out of this equation? Only thing I care about is right and wrong, and we're gonna go down that rabbit hole right now. Because to be honest with you guys, I think Austin Metcalf played a role in his own demise, and I think Karmelo Anthony played a role in his own solitary confinement, and I explain. Let's start with Karmelo Anthony. It's raining at a track meet. You want to get out the rain. You go sit up on another team tent. You become approached. They tell you gotta bounce, you don't belong here. Why you just didn't get up and leave? You know you was in the wrong. They caught you red-handed. They don't want you under their tent. You know the rules. You been running track. Get your ass up and leave. It ain't no argue. I'm not going anywhere. That's not how the world works. That's all I'm saying. And why did you have a knife in your backpack to begin with? Now, I'm not saying nobody should arm themselves, but nigga, you had a track meet in Frisco. Chances are you safe. You didn't need that knife. I'm just saying that. Let's go to Austin. It's raining. Karmelo Anthony goes up under your tent. You confront him. You tell him he gotta bounce. Karmelo Anthony replies, I ain't going nowhere. The moment he tells you that, discussion is over with. You don't supposed to say nothing else back to him. You go get a resource officer. You go get a teacher. You go get your coach. You don't just grab him and try to remove him yourself, because at that point, he got the right to defend himself. That's all I'm saying. And as you can see, Karmelo Anthony defended himself, and Austin Metcalf ends up dead. It's a whole uproar. Everybody's wondering, how could this happen? How did we get to this point? And I'm going to tell you the real reason why this happened. Ego, pride, immaturity, and the number one factor why this happened, they are kids. When I was 17, another kid couldn't tell me to do shit. I'd have been in Karmelo Anthony's shoes. I'd have been sitting on the wrong side of the bleachers in high school. A student approached me, you ain't supposed to be over here anyway, go back to your side. Nigga, what? I ain't going nowhere. That's how teenagers act. They ain't gonna take kind to another kid telling them what to do. And I get Austin Metcalf's point. It's my tent. This my area. I want you removed. It's not even that you bothering me. It's just the simple fact I don't know who you are, and you think you just can roll up under my tent because it's raining. Hell no, it don't work like that. That's exactly what happened. Austin Metcalf approached him. Words was exchanged. Nobody was willing to back down. Karmelo Anthony stood his ground. You put your hands on me, see what happened. Austin Metcalf said, really? That's how we coming? Grabbed him. Tussling. Austin Metcalf ended up stabbed in the chest. Now, this is where everybody go their separate ways. Because I'm under the impression Karmelo Anthony had the right to defend himself. Once Austin Metcalf grabbed him, he had the right. They on bleachers. It's not level ground. I don't know what you gonna do. You might try to throw me down the bleachers. I fall, bump my head, I'm dead. You might sucker punch me. I fall down the bleachers. If I'm on the bleachers and anybody grab me, I'm defending myself to the fullest. Because at this point, it's either me or you. Let's just be real, man. I done sat on them bleachers before, man. A fist can be a deadly weapon. You hit a motherfucker hard enough and he go tumbling down them bleachers. You can suffer a head injury and you may not never be the same again. You see what happened to young Scooter? He died jumping the fence. The activity we all done did before. We all done jumped the fence. We all done had a fight before. But that don't mean that a fight can end deadly. That's all I'm saying. So we all agree, I hope we all agree, that Karmelo Anthony had the right to defend himself. Now where everybody differ at, did he have a right to use deadly force? Did the force he used was right? Because I'm under the impression, if somebody hitting you with a pillow, that don't mean you just can take out your weapon and shoot him in the head. Yes, you defending yourself, but nigga, that was just over excessive. So when we look at Karmelo Anthony, when we look at Austin Metcalf, we all agree that Austin Metcalf was the aggressor. If I tell you to move, you don't want to move, and I try to physically remove you, I'm being aggressive as hell. Everybody don't play that. I'm a grown-ass man. I don't even play that. If I'm sitting somewhere and somebody tell me to move, and I don't move fast enough, that don't mean you put your hands on me, because it's going to end real bad. Let's just be honest about that. We seen niggas get thrown out the club. When that bouncer grabbed their ass and forcibly remove them, nobody likes to be forcibly removed. You gonna fight, you gonna elbow, you gonna try to get them the fuck up off you. And I think that's what Karmelo Anthony did. I just wish he didn't use deadly force. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it was right. I'm not saying it was wrong. All I'm saying is, the moment Austin Metcalf put his hands on Karmelo Anthony, he had the right to defend himself. You get what I'm saying? Because we keep talking about this whole situation, and we automatically act like Austin Metcalf was the authority figure. Why he didn't listen to Austin? Austin told him to get up. He should have just did what Austin told him to do. They are kids. Kids do things like that. I'm sitting somewhere, another kid tell me to move. I'm not just gonna get up and walk away. Who are you? You got to get a teacher or a principal to remove me. That's how kids think, man. I've been in Karmelo Anthony's shoes. I done had a kid try to tell me to get up and leave. And I'd be lying to you if I said I got up and walked away because a kid told me to leave. I'm not going on my side. Yeah, I'm on the wrong side. I'm on the visitor side. You got to make me leave. I ain't going nowhere. Who you think you is? I done did that before. A lot of kids do that. Go to your average high school game. Kids sit on the wrong side. Kids sit in areas they don't supposed to be sitting in. And try to have a student tell a kid he got to bounce. And watch what that kid look at that student and say. So let's not act like Karmelo Anthony is doing anything that normal kids don't do. They talk a lot of shit. And they ain't moving just for the simple fact that you told them to. You ain't finna show me up in front of everybody. It's raining, hell no. I'm standing right here. You see what I'm saying? And take Austin Metcalf. Everybody calling him a racist. That's what kids do. This is my area. Hey man, you gotta bounce. Territorial. This my tent. This my school. Who him? He got another tracksuit team on logo on his shirt. He gotta bounce. We don't rock with them. Get up out of here. I don't give a damn about it's raining. Peace. Right? So that's why we ended up here. Has nothing to do with race. Because I'm under the impression, if a black kid walked up to Karmelo Anthony and told him he got to bounce, I don't think Karmelo Anthony is just getting up walking away. I'm thinking he saying the same thing to a black kid. I ain't going nowhere. And if a black kid make a threat to him, I think Karmelo Anthony would have said the same thing. Touch me and see what happened. I mean, come on now. Let's be real about this whole situation. Austin Metcalf. I think if it was a white kid from another school sitting on the Austin Metcalf tent, I think Austin Metcalf would have approached him as well. Hey, buddy. This is our tent. You ain't one of us. You gotta bounce. You see what I'm saying? And you see what the friends and everybody said about Austin Metcalf. He was a leader. He do this type of stuff all the time. So I'm starting to think Austin Metcalf was the type of kid, if you sit under his tent, he gonna have you bounce. And I feel like most of the time he was successful in doing it, but he ran across Karmelo Anthony. That's all I'm saying. Now, my prediction on this case, I know a lot of people are gonna be mad. A lot of people is emotionally invested in this case, but I don't think Karmelo Anthony is gonna get a lot of time. I really don't. I think he might plead to a lesser charge. Don't be surprised if Karmelo Anthony get a 7-year sentence. Don't be surprised. People saying it's premeditated. People saying he went looking for trouble. But Austin Metcalf approached him. If he was never approached by another student and never got hemmed up, I don't think Karmelo Anthony would have stabbed anybody that day. Can we be honest and say that? Yes, he was arrested. Yes, he was charged with first-degree murder. Yes, his bail was placed at $1 million. I thought that was too high. I'm like, damn, I get it's a murder, but $1 million? I seen niggas get killed in the hood all the time. They bail don't be $1 million. They bail be $200,000. $20,000 you get out. So I wasn't surprised when Karmelo Anthony got his bond lowered to $250,000, because I thought that $1 million bond was excessive. If Pookie killed Lil Ray Ray, Pookie getting the $200,000 bond. What makes this case so special? There's a $1 million bond. A life is a life. Whether you're a gang member, whether you're a civilian. So I was very uncomfortable by that bail set amount. I'm just being honest with you guys. And Karmelo Anthony, he posted bond. He was released today. A lot of people was mad. A lot of people was in their feelings. And the reporter asked some questions when Karmelo Anthony was walking out of jail. And a lot of people thought she was wrong. A lot of people thought she was thirsty. And a lot of people thought it was poor taste for her to be there asking this young man these type of questions. I'm going to play the video, and then we're going to come back and break this whole situation down. Let's go.
We're up, we're up, we're up, we're up.
Karmelo, do you have anything to explain to the family of the victim? Why were you armed?
Now, you heard what she said? You have anything to say to the victim? Why was you armed, Karmelo? Now, you know his lawyer had a talk with him before all this happened. We're going to walk out of here. The paparazzi going to be outside. The reporter's going to be outside. Wherever they ask you a question, don't answer it. Don't even make eye contact with them. Just keep walking straight. Put on a poker face. Don't engage with the paparazzi and media at all. This is a high-profile case. We don't want you opening your mouth saying the right thing. Don't even say you innocent, nigga. Just walk straight to the car and we're going to drive away. So she wasting her time. She know he ain't going to answer that question. Talking about what's your self-defense claim? Like he really going to stop and give you an interview. When it's a high-profile case, everybody's emotionally invested. Everybody's views are extreme. And this case is showing a lot of people insecurities. A lot of you guys are insecure about race. A lot of y'all are. Y'all ain't happy with yourselves. Y'all take pride in little small victories. And I'm just like, dang, I ain't cut from that cloth, man. I call it how I see it. I don't give a damn if you black, white, brown, I don't care. But let's continue.
Karmelo, why were you armed at school? Explain your self-defense. How is this self-defense?
Excuse me.
No, you didn't say.
I had to drive next to you.
Y'all see that? Karmelo Anthony is free. $250,000 bond. He drives away. He got to wear an ankle monitor. He get to go home and prepare for trial. And this is what I mean when I say everybody's views are extreme about this case. Everybody's racial bias is getting in the way. Because you actually got people mad that his bond was $250,000. They wanted it $1 million. They wanted him the needle in his arm. And I'm like, you guys are sick. I'm waiting for the facts to come out. $250,000, that seemed about right. I'm just being honest. Let's not get stupid about this whole case. The hell is wrong with you people, man? 17-year-old kid. You know, some people call it a mistake. But hey, man, he got the right for a fair trial. Just like we reserved judgment on Kyle Rittenhouse. Just like we reserved judgment on Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman. George Zimmerman was a grown-ass man. Trayvon Martin was 16 years old, and George Zimmerman's defense was, I was scared. Trayvon Martin didn't have no weapon. And everybody say, yeah, he stood his ground. What's the difference? I'm confused now. I thought we liked the stand your ground law. I thought we liked when people invade your personal space and attack you, you got the right to put them down. I thought we liked that. What the hell has happened? So we are no longer a fan of stand your ground. Is that what everybody telling me? That's all I'm saying. I'm confused about that. But anyway, it was an article written, you know, by Daily Mail, and they wrote about Karmelo Anthony. And pay attention to some of the words they use in this article. Pay attention to the headline. They are really playing on this whole little race bait thing. Let me read this article for you guys right now. Let's go. It's crazy. Boom. It's a teen killer whose victim, 17, died in twins' arms, set to be freed from jail amid huge bail reduction. Teen killer, victim who was 17, died in his twin brother arms. Boy, they really playing on people's emotions, ain't they? Let's continue reading it. A teen who fatally stabbed a 17-year-old boy at a Texas track meet had his $1 million bond reduced to $250,000 on Monday. Anthony, age 17, was in court as he faces a first-degree murder charge for the killing of Austin Metcalf, who died in his twin brother Hunter arms after being stabbed in the heart earlier this month. When he posts the bond, the accused killer will have to wear an ankle monitor and cannot leave his parents' home without permission from Judge Angela Turker. His lawyer said he expects him to post bond later on Monday. The teen wore a gold jumpsuit, handcuffs, and chains that he watched defense lawyers had asked for the bond to be lowered to $150,000, citing his age and lack of criminal history. Prosecutor has asked Anthony's father, Andrew Anthony, why he could not use more than $400,000 in donated funds for his son's defense to pay the original $1 million bond. Andrew Anthony told the court that he has no access to the donated funds and could not afford to pay a $1 million bond. As reported by CBS 11, Anthony's lawyer also said the money was not for bail and instead should be used for a legal defense. He gonna need it. Collin County, they gave you a $1 million bond and they want your head on a stick. They trying to make an example. That's why I don't think they should have this trial in Collin County. They got to move this trial somewhere else, but it's such a high-profile case. There's no way, wherever you move the trial to, the juror heard about this story. They're going to have tainted views anyway. I'm just being honest. But let's continue. Anthony's father will also question the court over an incident in the teen's high school back in February that involved an altercation assault. It's not clear whether Anthony was an aggressor, victim, or witness in the incident, which was handled internally by Frisco Independent School District. That's a picture of Karmelo Anthony. Looks pretty dapper. You know, he dressed up. Picture of Austin Metcalf. Hell of a football player, you know. Both kids are pretty good kids, you know. Sad situation, man. Let's see what this say. The defense also questioned Anthony's father and mother, who said their son is an ace student and the captain of the football and track teams at his high school. Anthony was described as the oldest of 3 children who had never been arrested before Metcalf's murder. He was the captain of his football and track teams at school and worked at Foot Locker, as well as the second job at H-E-B supermarket prior to the stabbing. So yeah, Karmelo Anthony, football player, track, worked at Foot Locker, worked at a supermarket. He ain't that gun-toting super thug everybody was calling him. Everybody was calling Karmelo Anthony a monster. You would have thought he was on the internet throwing up gang signs that night. He was just a normal kid trying to make a way. Let's continue. Metcalf's killing has divided the Frisco community and nation at large. Judge Tucker said they never had the security issues they faced with this case, according to Fox 4. A spokesperson for the Anthony family was previously forced to deny that the accused killer had been bullied by Austin before the fatal confrontation at the match. The two boys had never met one another prior to the horrific stabbing. So yeah, when it first happened, people on the other side that was looking for a self-defense claim, they were saying that Austin Metcalf was bullying Karmelo Anthony. They had prior history, but both sides admit that Karmelo Anthony didn't know who he was. They never met each other. First time ever seeing each other and crossing each other's paths was at that track meet. So we could take the bullying off the table. He was not getting bullied by Austin Metcalf. So let's just be fair. Let's continue. Just before his bond hearing on Monday, Anthony family retained Mike Howard, a Dallas criminal defense attorney. His former lawyers, Billy Clark and Kim T. Cole, confirmed to WFAA Saturday that they would no longer be representing Anthony, while the Next Generation Action Network, a non-profit supporting the team, announced the legal change. An arrest report says the confrontation between the two-star football players began when Metcalf told Anthony he was sitting under another team's pop-up tent and told him to move, as reported by NBC. The two students from different high schools began fighting before Karmelo unzipped his bag and reached in, telling Austin, "Touch me and see what happened." The report said Austin then grabbed Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony pulled out a black knife and stabbed Austin once in the chest. Now, I'm hearing rumors there's video of this, so it's going to be able to corroborate the story. Did he have reasonable reasons to fear for his life? Was his deadly force justified, or did Karmelo Anthony overreact? Can we all agree? Somebody put their hands on you, you in some bleachers, you got the right to get them up off you. If you arguing that, then you stupid as hell. Karmelo Anthony had the right to defend himself. The issue is, did he have a right to use deadly force? Was it an overreaction to his self-defense claim? That's what I'm talking about. Anthony reportedly ran away before being arrested by responding officers. He had apparently told the school resource officer, "I was protecting myself," and he put his hands on me. So yeah, look. Directly after the stabbing happened, Karmelo Anthony said, "I was defending myself." He put his hands on me. So yeah. This isn't more to read. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it, man. Sad case, sad situation. I want to send my condolences to Austin Metcalf family, his twin brother Hunter. Seeing your twin die in your arms, that gotta be tough. He gonna need therapy. He might not ever get over that. You gotta think about it. You came in this world with your twin. Y'all was dressing alike when y'all was little. Y'all played on the same sports team. Everywhere he went, you was there. Y'all got the same circle of friends. Then all of a sudden at a track meet, he loses his life. And I want to send prayers to Karmelo Anthony family. I know you send your kid to a track meet. You probably didn't know he was packing a knife in his backpack. Another kid confronts him. And all of a sudden your world is turned upside down because your kid is being accused of murder. And everybody's in an uproar. The case is highly publicized. Everybody's divided. And you got to live through that. They know your name. They know your address. So I pray that this family remains safe. I encourage them to move. Get the hell out, get the hell out of Collin County, man. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts about this whole situation. I want to hear how you guys feel about it. Do you think Karmelo Anthony stabbing Austin Metcalf was justified, or do you think he's overreacted and he should spend the rest of his life in jail? Let me know in the comment section. Share this video. I love you guys. Peace.
Within the last hour, a judge granted the request to lower the bond for a North Texas teen facing capital murder charges. 17-year-old Karmelo Anthony is accused of stabbing and killing another student at a track meet in Frisco. Anthony claims he acted in self-defense. Chris Sadeghi live from the courthouse in McKinney. And Chris, the judge heard from Anthony's family this morning before making her decision.
Yeah, Kara, this hearing just wrapped up about 30 minutes ago. In it, we heard from Karmelo Anthony's father. He testified about his son, and in the end, the judge did decide to lower the bond from $1 million to $250,000. Karmelo Anthony entered the courtroom handcuffed, wearing a yellow inmate jumpsuit. He spoke only to identify himself to the judge and stared straight forward while his father, Andrew Anthony, testified about how his son is the oldest of 4 siblings, a straight-A student, active in his church, and worked 2 jobs while serving as captain of the football and track team. To this point, he's not had any criminal history. All factors his defense brought up when asking the judge to lower the bond. The amount they were asking for was $150,000. The prosecution, though, argued the bond should have stayed at $1 million, even asking Andrew Anthony about the online fundraiser that's raised $412,000 for his son's defense. Ultimately, though, the judge said the purpose of bond is not a punishment, but to ensure the defendant returns for his court dates and to protect the community. If Anthony does post the $250,000 bond, he will be on house arrest, confined to his home with a leg monitor, and cannot leave unless the court grants permission. Asked by Judge Angela Tucker if he understood the terms of the bond, Karmelo Anthony simply said yes. Austin Metcalf's family, the victim's family, was in the courtroom. It was a packed courtroom, not a seat to be had, and the judge did acknowledge the amount of scrutiny on this case, not only from the media, but the general public, pointing out that she's presided over many murder trials involving many different races, and that she has never seen the amount of security precautions having to be taken by deputies as what they're seeing in this case. Kara, back to you.
The high school athlete accused of stabbing and killing another high school athlete at a track meet in Texas is now out on bond. This is video of Karmelo Anthony leaving the county jail per WFAA in Dallas. A judge lowered his bond by a major amount this week. And a fundraising site has raised more than $416,000 for his legal defense, even after he allegedly told police he did it, leaving a brother to die in his twin's arms after he was allegedly stabbed in the heart. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. Cases like the one that we're talking about right now get lives of their own when people use them to talk about issues like self-defense and race in America. That is exactly what's happening in the case of Karmelo Anthony, a high school sports star, now an accused murderer. A judge lowered Anthony's bond from $1 million down to $250,000 this week. This is the new video per WFAA in Dallas of Anthony walking free. He will have to wear a GPS monitor, be on house arrest, check in with the court each week, and if he doesn't do that, he'll go back into custody. We have the probable cause documents from police that lay out what officers say happened when they responded to a high school track meet in the middle of the day on April 2nd for the report of a stabbing. One officer writes that when he first made contact with Anthony and told him to put his hands in the air, Anthony allegedly said, "I was protecting myself." The officer said that Anthony then told him, quote, "He put his hands on me." And when the officer said he had the alleged suspect in custody, Anthony allegedly said, quote, "I'm not alleged, I did it." Several witnesses also came forward to tell police what they saw, and we'll dive into their accounts in just a moment. But I want to first talk about the victim in this case. His name is Austin Metcalf. Metcalf was there to compete in this track meet as well. He was a high school football star in his own right. He was a junior at Frisco's Memorial High School. He was team MVP of the football season last year, and his dad says he had a 4.0 GPA in the classroom, and he was planning on playing college football. And when you look at his social media, you could see he was serious about it. Austin posted multiple pics from recruiting trips to places like the University of Arkansas. That is a big-time Division I school. The suspect, Karmelo Anthony, he was captain of his high school's football team. That was Frisco's Centennial High School, which is just about a 14-minute drive away from where Metcalf went to school. These two schools separated by roughly 7 miles.
Karmelo Anthony, class of 2025, Centennial High School, Frisco, Texas.
This is video of Anthony mic'd up at a tournament that he linked to on his X account. On social media, Anthony shows that he was getting offers to play college football. Here are the posts from 2 Division III schools that apparently wanted him on their team. On Anthony's Huddle profile page, which is a social media platform for football players, Anthony made his bio, quote, "God has shown you the right path, just take it." Anthony's path on April 2nd led him to a confrontation with Austin Metcalf that could put him in jail for the rest of his life. So here's what we know based off what police say happened. Multiple schools were competing in this track meet that had to be delayed because of weather. If you've ever run track, typically all the schools involved have their spots around the track where they hang out between events, and in this case, where they were waiting out some weather. Austin's team apparently had a tent, and Anthony went under that tent, and somehow words were exchanged and Anthony was told to leave. In the probable cause document, witnesses say Anthony reaches into his bag and says, quote, "Touch me and see what happens." Austin then touches Anthony to tell him to move, and Anthony then, according to witnesses, says, "Punch me and see what happens." Austin then grabbed Anthony again, and that is when a witness says Anthony takes a knife out and stabs Austin Metcalf in the chest. Austin then grabs his chest and calls for help. He would die in his twin brother's arms near the track. This is a law and crime legal alert. Did you know that children under the age of 21 are being diagnosed with some serious conditions like type 2 diabetes and non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and research is potentially linking ultra-processed foods to those outcomes. Our partners at Morgan & Morgan are stepping in to help. This is a law firm with a lot of experience in fighting big corporations, and they're ready to hold food companies accountable. So, if your child or someone you know under the age of 21 has been diagnosed with one of those serious conditions like type 2 diabetes or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, head over to www.forthepeople.com/food or scan the QR code on your screen. This is what his twin told WFAA-TV in the hours after all of this played out.
He's like, "Make me move." Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid, I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see the stab. But then I look at my brother, and then I'm not going to talk about the rest.
Austin seemed to be very close with his family. Here's a picture of his brother with their dad. Now, as far as Anthony, police say he ditched the knife and ran before he was arrested by officers who know in their reports that Anthony was hysterically crying when arrested and asked if Metcalf would be okay. Anthony seemed to believe what happened was self-defense. Police, though, have not seen it that way. Here's the probable cause affidavit. You can see Anthony is facing a charge of murder. And initially, he was held on $1 million bond. And that gets us to the update that we are following this week after a hearing about that bond. At a court hearing, Anthony, his attorneys, their family argued that the bond was just too high, that it was unfair to be that high, that Anthony had to remain behind bars ahead of his trial, which could be months from now. A judge decided to lower Anthony's bond from $1 million to $250,000. Cameras weren't allowed in the courtroom, but this is what we're hearing about what happened. Anthony's parents testified and argued that their son is a straight-A student, that he's never been in trouble before, and he's the oldest of 4 children. He also worked 2 jobs, including currently as a cashier at a grocery store, and on top of that, he was captain of his high school's football team. According to CBS News, Anthony's attorney wanted bond lowered from $1 million to $150,000. Prosecutors didn't call witnesses at this hearing, but they said bond should stay the same because they argue that's typically where bond is set for murder cases in Collin County, Texas. Since Austin Metcalf's death, the Anthony family has been able to raise quite a bit of money for Karmelo Anthony's legal defense. This is the fundraising page on the site Give, Send, Go. It's similar to a GoFundMe, and at this point, you can see it's raised more than $416,000. This page was started by the Anthony family, and it reads, quote, "The narrative being spread is false, unjust, and harmful. As a family of faith, we are deeply grateful for all of your support during this trying period. Your prayers and assistance mean more to us now more than ever." Comments on the side of the page show people giving money and people who believe that Karmelo acted in self-defense. Give, Send, Go has become in many ways the go-to site for defendants who find themselves in interesting legal situations. It's the same site where people have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for the legal defense of Luigi Mangione, the man who's accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in Manhattan. Give, Send, Go is an alternative to GoFundMe because GoFundMe doesn't allow campaigns that raise money for the legal defense of those accused of violent crimes. In the past, it's been a site that's become a go-to place for people raising money for Kyle Rittenhouse and people who were arrested in connection to January 6th. Now, in this case, Anthony's father was reportedly asked during this hearing why the Anthonys haven't used the hundreds of thousands of dollars already raised to bail their son out of jail. It might be $1 million bond, but in some cases you can get a bail bondsman to cover most of it and you just have to put forward 10%. He said to that question, the site isn't a bond fund. Metcalf's family also has a fundraising site, but the money for that was used in part to lay their son to rest. Right now, that page has more than $341,000. Metcalf was laid to rest last week at a church in Frisco. The Metcalfs are encouraging people to donate money to create a scholarship on their son's behalf. Anthony's bail was lowered to $250,000, and we'll talk about why the judge did that in just a moment and why at least one defense attorney believes that was a fair decision. The court said that Anthony would have to be on house arrest, wear that electronic monitoring device, and will check in with the court each week on Fridays. According to WFAA, the judge said in the courtroom where every seat was filled that deputies provided more security than she had ever seen for a case, which is just an example of the attention that this story is receiving in Texas and beyond. Joining us now once again to talk about this case is criminal defense attorney Bridget Williams, who is based in Dallas. I know when Karmelo Anthony was first arrested, we chatted a bit about this case. Let's get to I want to start with the kind of the headline update that we've received this week, which happens to do with the bond amount going from $1 million down to $250,000. Was this a fair decision by the judge?
Well, let's start with one. I love the way that Judge Tucker phrases this. This is a bond hearing. This is not a trial setting. In my experience with Judge Tucker, she's always been extremely fair. She listens to both sides equally and gives both sides equal weight. So I think that she starts with the fact that this is a bond hearing. The purpose of a bond hearing is if we reduce this bond, will the defendant come back to court, right? What is the likelihood of them coming back to court? And if they are released, what is the likelihood of them being safe in the community? So that's the purpose of this, not necessarily to determine guilt innocence at this phase. And so I think that this was a very fair decision by the court. She took into account what we call totality of the circumstances and what we use for every single bond hearing, the same elements every time. And then she weighs that and determines what is the correct amount. My understanding is that the defense counsel went in asking for $150,000, the state asking for $1 million. And so it's the judge's job to use judicial discretion based off all of the facts as it relates to the elements for the bond hearing, and then determine what is a proper amount to issue it and also attach conditions as she did do in this circumstance.
And because I do think when you look at some of the chatter around any sort of bond decision, and this isn't the only case where kind of public opinion, when a bond decision comes down, has people debating on both sides. Bond, and you talked about this a little bit, it's not necessarily saying, it's not to punish someone, the point of bond. And that seems to be something that the public often thinks its purpose is supposed to be.
That's right. I mean, it's not that at all. It's not supposed to. I think this is actually one of the elements, not to be used as an object of oppression. So the purpose of it specifically only is, will this person come back to court? And if released, are they a threat to the public or to themselves? And so that's what the purpose of that bond hearing is. And so when we go back to thinking of those things, I think the judge ruled fairly in this situation, especially adding on the conditions that she did.
I want to talk a little bit about kind of what we know about this altercation that took place, because I think since the last time we talked, there's been a little bit more information that's come forward where you have Karmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf who are exchanging words verbally. And then at one point, Karmelo Anthony says something along the lines of touch me, see what happens, and then says punch me, see what happens. And then Austin Metcalf, according to witnesses, puts his hands on Karmelo Anthony, and that is when Anthony allegedly takes out a knife and stabs Austin Metcalf. The defense, it seems, will go down this was an act of self-defense argument as this case goes forward. How does the kind of what we know took place based off witness testimony compared to, how does that align with the law and how the law sees what self-defense is?
Yeah, the law in Texas is very clear as it relates to self-defense, and that is, am I presenting equal force to that which was presented to me? And is that reasonable, right? So reasonable force is it equal? And in this situation, it's not necessarily equal. And so that's the reason why we have discretion, we have ranges of punishment, we have trial settings, and we have mitigating circumstances. So in this particular situation, in this young man's mind, he thought that he was being threatened. He thought that he had to give self-defense in the way that he thought that he needed to provide it. However, the law is very clear. Again, am I presenting equal force, which was given to me? So if he says, well, punch me and see what happens, and this young man punches him, that doesn't give me the right to pull out a gun. That doesn't give me the right to pull out a knife. It's not equal. And so that is the conflict there of what the state and the defense are going back and forth about, or will go back and forth about. I do foresee this probably moving forward to a trial setting because of that specifically. This young man, in his mind, believed that he was defending himself. And that's the issue with sometimes with our laws when we talk about them. I've heard a lot of people say on social media, well, every person has the right to defend themselves. Yes, we do. However, that right of self-defense has to be, in fact, equal to that which was presented to you.
Is that different than, I know that self-defense laws are kind of a state-by-state basis, where there are some states where if you argue, I was afraid for my life in that moment, I did what I had to do. It seems in Texas that it's not as clear, or maybe it is more clear in how the law says it, as opposed to where if Karmelo Anthony goes into court and makes the argument, maybe Austin Metcalf was bigger than I was afraid for my life in that moment, and I was just trying to defend myself. If it's an equal force law, that doesn't seem like it could line up particularly well as a defense.
Well, that's why the defense moves forward generally with the trial setting, right? So they can bring all of those facts out in trial and give that explanation to a jury. And the jury makes a determination of, was he so inclined to believe that he was actually in fear of his life, not just from a punch, not just from a fist fight, but that this young man was so much bigger than me. He punched me, all these things. And in my mind, I was in danger of my life. And so I felt as though this was the equal force, right? That goes to a jury. And the jury then decides if that is what was necessary in order to move forward or not. And so that's why I think this will be a trial case more than likely.
I want to talk a little bit about the money that's being raised for Karmelo Anthony's defense. It's on a website that we talked about it a little bit ahead of time. Luigi Mangione, his defense is on Give, Send, Go, where they raised $200,000 plus to give to his defense. For you as a criminal defense attorney, is this something new that you're seeing, this kind of crowdfunding a defense? What do you make of this movement we're seeing in certain criminal cases where defendants are getting money from the public to pay for what is a right to have a legal defense in a case like this?
Yeah, well, I'll start off by saying that criminal defense teams, ones that are competent and do a good job and go above and beyond, are not cheap, right? It takes resources and finances in order to fund those things. Now, I've had clients before, and I've seen other people tell me that they have had to try sometimes to make the decision on if they want to hire an attorney, a personal attorney, or post the bond for their loved one. And in that situation, I'm always going to say hire their attorney, because then we can have the bond hearing, just as what Mr. Anthony's defense team did in this particular situation. However, using all of the resources that came from crowdfunding and all those situations, I think that it is something that I've seen more, and we've seen in cases around the country, really not just in Texas, but around the country, especially in high-profile cases, because the defense team and the resources that they need in order to put up a proper defense cost money. It's not something that just, can come by day just from doing just some specific paperwork. It takes resources. It takes a team of people to put up a proper defense.
I remember, and this is kind of on the side, just because Luigi Mangione has been the big kind of crowd-funded defense, at least within the last year, that's been receiving a lot of attention. And I remember his defense attorney initially wasn't sure whether they would accept that money. Is it controversial as a defense team to accept crowdfunding money or for a defendant to pay for your defense with money that comes from the public?
I don't know if it's controversial. I think it's a matter of, I think it's a case by case basis. It depends on, that particular defendant, depends on that particular attorney. Again, because like we stated just a moment ago, it costs money. It's not just the lawyer, but it's also their investigator. It's the staff that's working on the case. It's them taking away that time that they're working on the other cases, really to put a huge emphasis and a huge amount of their time and resources now into this particular case. That's also time away from their families. That's also time away from them doing other things as well. So just like any other job. So they are needing resources to pay that team of individuals that are going to show up and give the first class service to that person to give them the best defense possible.
Not to put you on the spot, but I mean, typically for a very competent, not saying the most, most expensive lawyer that's out there, but if someone was to pay for a criminal defense in a murder case, I mean, considering all the investigators, everything that might go into it, I mean, what typically is the price tag on something like that?
That is on the spot question, Chris. What I'll say is it depends, right? It depends. And I know that's always the answer people don't really like, but it depends on their amount of time and that they have invested into doing this. How long have they been a criminal defense attorney? How many cases have they taken on similarly to this? And how is it that they can actually put forth the effort to be the best criminal defense attorney in this particular case? So it can range. And I would say that, something along the lines of $100,000 would not be unlikely for a case of this magnitude, because we're not only giving counsel in the manner of just representation in this particular case, but also counsel in other areas as well. I think my understanding during the bond hearing is that the Anthony family now had to hire a security team. They also have to now hire a PR team in ways that how they present to the public, because the DA's office is doing that, right? That goes into strategy. And so that is something that the criminal defense attorney is also handling. He's kind of managing all of that all together. So all of those things have to be considered. So when I say, it depends, it just depends on a range of factors.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of asked, not to put you on the spot, but it was more, I think people think of what an attorney might charge, but it's all those other elements that someone may not realize leading up to a trial, the amount of people that work on a case and just what the cost of that may be. To this point, cameras haven't been allowed in the courtroom. And I know the judge yesterday reportedly said something, she hadn't seen security like that deputies put around a case, perhaps in her career, or at least in a really long time. How likely is it that we would get cameras in the courtroom if this were to go to trial?
I'm not sure. I think that would just be a matter for the judge to put into effect or not. They would tell us if they would allow cameras in the courtroom. But the difference is in this bond hearing, again, we go back to, we're talking specifically about the bond and not a trial setting. The trial setting, the judge at that point, whoever that judge is that will be ruling over it, will have the discretion to say if there will be cameras or not, based off of the safety for each of the witnesses, based off of the safety for the defendant and their families. And so I think they make that call based off of safety. Every trial setting is generally one for public viewing. It is. So if you want to walk up to the courthouse and actually sit there, that's one thing. But is it something where the court can determine, is this particular case one that needs to not be on camera or have multiple people in the actual courtroom itself, based off of the safety of all the people who are involved?
This case has received so much attention, and will continue to do so. I'm sure if it would go to trial, it would be one that would be covered on a national level. If you were on the criminal defense team for this, how do you manage that publicity? Is that something? Does the attention and the public support that Karmelo Anthony seems to have, just based off the amount of money that's been raised on this site, is that something, the attention, something that would help the defense going forward?
You're right in the fact that this has been something that has been national news, and definitely news over in Collin County, Dallas County, around the DFW Metroplex altogether. And so in order to manage that, hiring people who are good in their lane, I think that is imperative. And that's what they have done. They've hired, a great PR team and people who are able to kind of manage that and manage the public view and get out the word that, this may have been self-defense. And this is the reasons why. These are the reasons why he believed that it was self-defense. And so getting that information out to the public in a organized way is definitely something that the defense team is managing and working alongside with people who is their lane to put out information to the public. So I would say yes to the fact that it's something that they need to be doing, but they are doing it. And it's working out pretty well based off of the amount of money that he has raised.
There are many people who commit murder that never spend another day free in their lives. In this case, it appears Karmelo Anthony thought at least he was in self-defense. If he would be found guilty because the law doesn't see it that way, what type of punishment could he be looking at? And how much do the facts that surround the case of maybe it was a spur of the moment thing, he didn't mean to do it, if that's the defense's argument, what type of punishment, and I know that this is a long way away, but what type of punishment could he be looking at?
Yeah, this is a long way away. And then this is a separate phase. So you have guilt, innocence phase, and then you have a punishment phase. So if found guilty, then he has a punishment phase. Murder is a first-degree felony in the state of Texas. Punishment range up to 99 years in the penitentiary, up to a $10,000 fine. However, there is a reason for ranges of punishment, and that is because we have discretion. The state, when they present their case, the judge then has the discretion on what punishment to provide. If they go to the judge, if they go to the jury for punishment, then the jury then has the discretion to determine what is the appropriate amount of years of punishment for this particular person. Now, the ranges of punishment can be anywhere, up to that 99-year time period. And so that's when all of those other mitigating circumstances come into play. He's never been in trouble before. He was captain of the football team. He had a bright future. All these different things, that information would come up in the actual punishment phase. Not necessarily, it probably may come up in some small facets of the guilt innocence, but it would 110% be coming up in a punishment phase if it were to move forward to that point.
How long until a trial potentially?
That could be a year. That could be years. There's no statute of limitations on a murder case, so that could technically be quite some time. I have noticed that cases that are more high profile move a little faster than other cases, but we have felony cases right now who have been sitting and waiting for a trial for 6 months, 9 months, sometimes a year. So it can really just depend based off of the multitude and volume that the district clerk's office is receiving cases in. But most of the time when there's a high profile case, it seems to move a little faster.
Yeah, we'll see how this one plays out. It's just such a sad story on so many levels. And we'll see how the legal process, where things go next. Bridget Williams, it's always great to have you on Law and Crime. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
For On the Case presented by Law and Crime, I'm Chris Stewart. We'll see you next time.
Let's bring in the man who will be responsible for justice in this case, District Attorney Greg Willis. Thank you very much for joining me, sir.
Good to be with you, Chris.
So you have charged first-degree murder on the books in your state. That means he knew what he was doing. He had time to plan and think about what he was doing, and he did it with an intent to kill. Is that what you believe?
Well, let me just say this. That's what he has been arrested for. My office has not yet received the case. But I will say this, Chris, this case has really struck a nerve in our community. I mean, people are upset, and rightfully so. I mean, we've lost a young life, and the pain is real. At a time like this, it's hard for anyone to be level-headed about this, but that's our job, to be steady, be fact-based, and to follow the truth wherever it may lead.
What do you need to know under the law in your jurisdiction for self-defense to apply?
Well, as you can imagine, it's very fact-based, and of course I can't address the particular case, but that's what's so important. For Frisco is still in their investigation, and whenever they finish that up in the next few weeks, they will forward it to my office. We will vet everything very, very carefully and ultimately prepare it for a grand jury presentation. And so the grand jury will decide whether this case goes forward. I mean, I would expect it to, because most cases do go forward, but I can't comment on this particular one.
I got it. I just want people to understand the standard. What does self-defense mean under your law?
Well, it gets pretty involved, but I can just say that I'm trying to tiptoe around it so it doesn't look like I'm commenting on this particular case. But self-defense law in most states is pretty similar when you're not talking about the Castle Doctrine or something like that. So, people look at the degree of response, what the person is defending themselves against. I mean, I think people know about that. So I'd rather not get into the specifics of this.
It's not a stand your ground jurisdiction, is it?
Well, in a situation like this where you're at a school, well, there I go. If you're outside of your home, then I would just say it's a pretty reasonable thing. People can say, hey, what's reasonable under the circumstances? And this person felt threatened for their life. How did they respond? Did they not feel threatened for their life? Did they feel something less than that? Then the law in Texas is similar to most states, which is if you're going to respond in self-defense, it needs to be proportionate to that situation.
Is this the trickiest case you've ever had to handle, not in terms of the facts and the law, but in terms of the optics and the overlay of the attention it's already getting? Because, let's be honest, because of the race and the race of the victim and the alleged assailant.
Well, it might be. The case is not even in our office yet, so I could certainly comment on that afterwards. I know it has really caught the attention of our community and around Texas and apparently the country. And people feel deeply about, our youth, our education, sports, and as you said, the other dynamics that are involved. And so there's a lot of different factors that make people care particularly about this case. And that's why it's so important as the prosecutor for me to be level-headed, fact-based, steady, and just follow the truth wherever it may lead.
DA, there's going to be a ton of noise. The invitation is open for you and your team and the eventual defense team. You want things that are put straight and put in context. You have an invitation here that's open for the duration of the investigation and any adjudication that follows.
Well, thank you very much. This is a heartbreaking case. But even in heartbreak, we have a responsibility to do the right thing and in the right way, and my office will do that.
Well, we'll all be watching, and thank you, Greg Willis, for coming on and taking the opportunity. Good luck going forward.
Thank you for having me.
All right, be well. Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Hayes. I am the mother of Karmelo Anthony. 3 years ago, my family moved to North Texas searching for a better life. Like so many other families, we wanted to give our children the future we did not have. My husband works hard every single day to provide for us, to make sure we're in the best financial position possible. As a stay-at-home mom, I made it my life's mission to ensure our children are loved, nurtured, and supported every step of the way. In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Karmelo and the Metcalf boys, my 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about. The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family. His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser, and the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds once a request is made. I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. He's been raised in a 2-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do. We believe in the Constitution, we believe in the laws of this state, but those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us. To be clear, we will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in legal process, and that is where the truth will come out. To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you. To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process. Thank you.
I want to start off this press conference to say something as a deep note that I can tell America. What we seen at the beginning of this press conference, the father being at this press conference, these are my words, don't quote anybody, is a disrespect to the dignity of his son. Next Generation Action Network from the beginning has respected the loss of life. No matter our opinion of it, we have kept our opinion close. We have not attacked. We have not shared the information that was shared with us about Austin Metcalf, because we respect the dignity of life and loss. And as a minister, I would not attack a grieving family, even if I disagree with them. When I have stood before this podium for people who have died at the hands of law enforcement, I have asked for that same manner of respect. And even when the shoe is on the other foot, I will not do that. And all I'm going to say, so it don't be asked later, is that was disrespectful and just shows you all the character who is not invited. He knows that it's inappropriate to be near this family, but he did it. And so I say to people, actions speak louder than words. Okay? What he has failed into is the political operatives that want to make this thing a political thing of hate, yet bigotry, and yet racism. We have conservative operatives that have been posting non-stop about this case. It is outright disrespectful. We haven't been doing it. The Next Generation Action Network has been here, popular and unpopular. So regardless of what's going on, that was disrespectful. Disrespectful. And I will leave it to y'all to define it. But of course we want to. Y'all, I'm Minister Dominique Alexander. I serve as the president of the Next Generation Action Network. Today I come before you with a heavy heart, but determined in spirit, not just as an advocate, but as a black man, as a father, as a protector, in community, and children. There are 4 critical points I must address today, and I want to make sure that the public and the media and everyone who believes in truth and justice. First, the misinformation about the fund. From the very beginning, there was an intentional disinformation surrounding the fund created in the support of the Anthony family. The Karmelo Anthony Fund, hosted by Give, Send, Go, let's be clear, the family has not received one dime. Any of the media could have verified this, but we saw on Twitter, we saw on Facebook, and so many different things of the false, lavish life of this family. $800,000 home, purchase Escalade, and private security. Let me make this very clear. The Next Generation Action Network has always had its security detail. Many of you that know us in the Dallas and Fort Worth media know that we have our own security detail. One of the individuals that escorted Karmelo Anthony out of jail is here present with us now. They are a part of the Next Generation Action Network security team. The family hasn't hired any private contractors or whatever, or splurged or whatever. But if they have the audacity to spend money for their safety and security, that's their prerogative. The family has not withdrawn, and just until recently, just yesterday, they were officially notified by Give, Send, Go that they could start the withdrawal process. But if anybody know about this process, they know that that takes about 2 to 3 days to withdraw from that and actually hit any account. But this blatant propaganda wasn't just about the fund. It was to discourage the public from giving to the fund. That's what this was about. Because just like TMZ was able to call, give, send, go. Everybody in the media, in these news outlets that I've never heard before, could have did the same thing. When I first called Give, Send, Go, they gave me every information that I needed. Okay? So that's what I'm going to say on regards to that. Let me make this very clear. This family never authorized a single fund on the GoFundMe platform. All of the funds that were raised on the GoFundMe were all fraud. Yeah, I got you. All of the funds that was raised on that platform were fraud, okay? The family was the first to report these funds. One of the funds we identified raised up to $11,000. So a post about anything that stated that GoFundMe took everything down regarding Karmelo Anthony, that was at the request of the family and their supporters. This family never tried to create an account on GoFundMe. The Next Generation Action Network is very well aware of the company's policy regarding raising funds for legal defense. Okay? Since this tragedy unfolded, the Anthony family has been subject to unimaginable amount of hate, racism, threats to their safety. People have sat outside their house, sent objects delivered to their door, publicly harassed, online and in person. This is not just about Karmelo. It's about the family who dared to stand and demand justice in a return and receive ugliness that racism in this country still breeds. But let me say this loud and clear. We are not scared. We are not moving. We will not be silent. What I've always said as the president of the Next Generation Action Network, we will never ask the oppressor for permission to liberate our people. We will not ask for permission to stand up for the rights of our children. The Next Generation Action Network has stood on both sides of the fence in ensuring that justice is served. Now, getting to the information that the Next Generation Action Network wanted to share with the public today. And I will go ahead and pass it over to the mother and once I make this statement, okay? All right, there's two more final. For the last week and a half, the Next Generation Action Network has engaged in communications with Frisco ISD to ensure that Karmelo Anthony's due process is not violated. We know that in the state of Texas, there are things that are discretionary things and decisions by the leadership of Frisco ISD, right? There are clear guidance in the state and education code regarding expulsion of a student. We have asked several times. We didn't just rush. We have had these conversations over the last several days. And we have stated that it is just outright wrong to get involved in this. Karmelo Anthony doesn't have to walk. He doesn't have to involve in any senior activities. But Karmelo Anthony is a 3.7 GPA student. And if he doesn't even go to class for the remainder of the year, he would graduate, okay? We've asked that Frisco do not make a decision in this situation. But Frisco ISD has notified of their intent to expel Karmelo Anthony from school 1 month before his high school graduation. That just shows me that Frisco ISD is trying to push off the blame. And what I have not heard the media say, as many media outlets have asked us what went on, I'm trying to find how many of y'all have asked the superintendent or one single board of trustee, why didn't you cancel or postpone? With weather in that magnitude, you couldn't have a track meet in rain or thunderstorm or clouds. Y'all are the media. Ask your journalists, your weather journalists, how the weather was that day and that time. Y'all do that research. Because as a person who is the administrator of your children, you are responsible for the safety of the children. And so it seems as if Frisco ISD is trying to push this off by making this decision that they do not have to make. So the Next Generation Action Network, outside of the legal process, will be going through different avenues regarding to ensure that we fight for the rights of Karmelo Anthony. Okay? So in the next coming days, we will be announcing to the public. We will do direct action outside of Frisco ISD administration office because this is outright wrong. You are getting involved in a process that even the legal process has asked us to respect. And we're asking you to do that same thing. You do not have to get involved in this situation. But it seems that even with us going and meeting or having conversations, they have made their mind up. And we want to make sure that the record, that we talk truth to power in regards. I wanted to lay this out to ensure, because of the sensitivity of this case, there are so many moving factors that I have to explain so that this family does not have to explain. Let me say this about the 4th, and let me repeat this so that you guys can go to the Frisco Police Department. The reason why the family or me or anybody with direct knowledge of this cannot talk about the particulars of what happened in that tent, I know you know this is all law, is because if anybody tell you there was an adult near or inside or whatever, this current investigation knows nothing about that. Everybody involved at this point of our knowledge are minors. In the state of Texas, you know we cannot release or talk about minors. So stop asking us the question. Stop. It's no. We can't even do it if we wanted to. Okay? We can't talk about it. So don't ask. There is a court of law that will express everything, will lay out everything. We can't talk about it if we wanted to. Okay? So make it clear. Go back, confirm with Frisco Police Department. Go back, confirm with the district attorney. Even in the bond hearing, you didn't see a single thing said about people that was indirect. They're minors. Okay? So stop. The social media, stop. I haven't saw not one person single-handedly get this right in the public. They're minors, y'all. Just stop. We can't. Don't send another inquiry to NGAN inbox. Do this, all of that. That's the reason why we felt like it was important to do this press conference today. We can't talk about it. So if you ask me, I'm just going to look at you, okay? So I'm telling the world, everybody know the state law. I'm not creating it. We can't talk about it. This family can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. Nobody, unless you want to be sued. You release one of those 16-year-olds or 15-year-olds and 17-year-olds' name, the law of this land tells you what was going to happen to you. Okay? So don't ask that question. Finally, in regards to this judge, I do not know Judge Angela Tucker. I've never met her, never known her, never been nowhere near her court. Don't know anything about her until we were notified that she was going to hear the writ. But the ugly attacks on her just shows Black America that no matter what you pick in the ballot box, and that is your constitutional right, it's people out here reminding us of the Black struggle in America. This woman is a registered Republican, has been for years. She put herself through school, she raised her family, she did everything. I'm a registered Democrat, proud. I'm the chair of the Dallas County Democrat Resolutions Committee. I don't know that woman. And to call her leftist is just downright disrespectful. The bond that was given is according to law and consistency with practice. If Aaron Dean can get a $300,000 bond when he killed a Tatiana Jefferson, Karmelo Anthony can get a $250,000. If Amber Geiger can get a $200,000 bond when she kills Botham Judge in his own home, he can get a $250,000. If Roy Oliver can get a $250,000 bond after he kills Jordan Edwards, all white officers, why couldn't Karmelo Anthony be entitled, a child with no background, no criminal background, no endangerment to the community, none whatsoever, be placed on a ELM and brought home? Please help me understand. Make this make sense. It's consistency. It's consistent with practice. After this, y'all, so that we'll know, this will be our final press conference until this trial. We will not speak to the media again after this, okay? Don't ask for comment, question, or whatever it is. The actions that the Next Generation Action Network take on Frisco ISD will be separate from the legal process because we want to make sure that Karmelo Anthony's due process, this is going to be a jury case. And then let me make this very clear. This is a case that has not even been indicted. So, under the guise of Texas law, it's not even really proceeding to a trial yet because it has not even went through a grand jury to be indicted. We don't know if a grand jury will indict or not. We don't know. That's in the district attorney's hands, okay? And their legal team is preparing a packet for those things, and we will not be talking about the legal process regarding this case, okay? So after today, I just want the media to know, and I want the public to know, I don't care what you say about me. I've been in this thing for 11 years. I am tried, tested, and proven. I'm gonna just say, I'm from Oak Cliff. Worser things have been said about me, baby. You ain't gotta inbox me, you ain't gotta tell me. I am the first person to tell my testimony. I don't have to prove anything to nobody. I am a proven testimony standing here that God, even when you make mistakes, God is not finished with your story. I'm gonna bring this mother, Kayla Hayes, and it has taken her a lot of strength, y'all, to come and do this today. And I want you guys to respect her as she read this and giving her the respect that she deserves, y'all.
Good afternoon. My name is Kayla Hayes. I am the mother of Karmelo Anthony. 3 years ago, my family moved to North Texas searching for a better life. Like so many other families, we wanted to give our children the future we did not have. My husband worked hard every single day to provide for us, to make sure we're in the best financial position possible. As a stay-at-home mom, I made it my life's mission to ensure our children are loved, nurtured, and supported every step of the way. In wake of this tragic incident, our family has been under attack. Whatever you think what happened between Karmelo and the Metcalf boys, my 3 younger children, my husband, and I didn't do anything to deserve to be threatened, harassed, and lied about. The lies and false accusations that have been said about us, especially over the past week, has been overwhelming. The lies and their amplification put my family in danger, as well as everyone in our community, everyone involved in the investigation, from the police, the attorneys, and the court staff. Our address and my husband's previous employer's address has been put on all social media platforms. My husband had to take a leave of absence because he's afraid what may happen to our family. His mental health is deteriorating day by day. We have endured death threats. My 13-year-old daughter is afraid to sleep in her own bedroom because she's fearful of what may happen to her. And let me be clear, the claims that were used about the public donation to buy a home or anything else are completely false. We have not received a single dime from the Give, Send, Go fundraiser. And the co-founder has stated that clearly. In the reality, we were just notified yesterday that we could begin to withdraw funds. And it still takes several days to receive those funds once a request is made. I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to. He's been raised in a 2-parent home with structure, stability, love, and we put God first in everything that we do. We believe in the Constitution, we believe in the laws of this state, but those laws must apply to all of us, not just some of us. To be clear, we will not speak publicly about specific details of what happened under the tent on that rainy and awful day. There's an active investigation that everyone involved wants to be full and fair. We believe in the legal process, and that is where the truth will come out. To the family who experienced the loss, my heart truly goes out to you. To those who have supported my family, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We ask for your continued support, patience, and prayers as we navigate this difficult process. Thank you.
Y'all, I'm gonna show something up of a post. You come for me, I come for you. Sarah Fields. Never heard of this woman. This is the kind of despicable things that led to the father being here. Political operatives motivating this family with hate. Karmelo Anthony posted on something that shows, posted here. These are the type of lies that are threatening this family. Posting the family's picture. These are the type of lies. She's getting millions of views on this. Sarah, she's even came after me. She's even said all of those things. And now that the public knows exactly what is going on, I ask, because these racist bigots try to prevent us from standing up for our baby, our boy, he should be afforded the same rights that Cal Rittenhouse had, Daniel Penna, and all of the people who have claimed whatever their defense was. He should be afforded the same right. Nobody in the public media has one video camera, but we got the video of Cal Rittenhouse with an AK-47 shooting 3 people in the back. We got that. And he raised more than $2 million publicly, and nobody says anything. So since they tried to come for us, I call for the community's overwhelming support for this fund. The disinformation that was put out was literally deliberate to prevent you from helping this family. And I want you to give overwhelming support to show them the community united can never be divided. And I'm gonna say this again, and this is for everybody. Black people in America, while the current occupant sits at 1600 Pennsylvania, black people in America don't have to pull the race card. It's what we live as a reality every day. It's what we have to teach our children. We don't want to, but we have to. We don't like to, but if we want to sleep at night, we got to. I ain't pulling no race card. I live it. I'm reminded all the time that I'm a black man in America. And what y'all just showed to Judge Tucker is just reminded that hate and bigotry and racial reconciliation in this country, we have respected the process. I believe that Austin Metcalf is about to have his funeral. And I wouldn't dare, even with the information I know, and plenty people can share that and all that, but we have prevented from speaking about that in these type of public forums. It will come out. They have a more than well-capable attorney, and this family will go through a process of being able to get prepared for this trial. So I just say this real quick. This is our final time speaking to public and holding a press conference regarding this particular case. Now, the Next Generation Action Network will talk about Frisco ISD, but we will not do this. I will not ask this mother to do this again. The attorney will not. We won't do this again. Don't ask. We will see you at trial. Whatever venue that is, we will see you there. I stand 10 toes down supporting this family. And I want to thank all of the community leaders and people that I have seen that have came here today. Bishops and pastors and clergy, community leaders with respectability in this community. I see them today. And I want to thank them for their presence, because this family needs strength right now. Thank you, and God bless you.